will be.
Again, we don't know whether the jurors will come to the microphone or if at what point they may answer any questions. But Lisa Bloom, what question do you have? What do you want to know from them about how they came to this conclusion?
Well, let me just give you my legal assessment of this. Unlike Reverend Al, who labored valiantly with the family from the beginning to make this happen, I came into this case with basically a clean slate. I didn't know much about it other than what I'd read in the papers. And I've watched this trial minute by minute, day by day. Reverend Al notes, I was on his show every day, that early on I thought the prosecution was not doing such a great job. By the end of the prosecution case, I thought they had improved. They'd put on some good witnesses. But by the end of the defense case, I had a lot of sharp criticisms for the prosecution in this case, and particularly in closing arguments. I was really surprised at how weak the prosecution was, if I may be honest, in closing arguments. I think the prosecution team was clearly out-lawyered by the defense team, and I think the evidence was there to convict, if not of second-degree murder, certainly of manslaughter. But the prosecution team, in making some very odd decisions in the way that they put this case in, and particularly in closing argument, asking questions and using a lot of maybes and mights rather than connecting the dots, leaving a very wide door open for the defense to say this is a reasonable doubt case. And I know these prosecutors practice down there, and I thought perhaps that was a strategy that was unique to them, but it was really very surprising to me. This prosecution team missed a lot in this case. They missed the fact that George Zimmerman, when he said his head was being pounded on the cement, he was actually on the grass many feet away from the cement. That was not pointed out in closing argument. They missed, until closing argument, the placement of the gun behind George Zimmerman, inside his pants. They mentioned it for the first time in closing argument and really just glossed over it and moved on. That should have been a central point that was really pounded on. They missed the fact that Trayvon Martin was wearing a hoodie with a sweatshirt underneath, which explains why it would be separated a little bit from his body, even if he were in a standing position. And that was an important defense argument. They refused to address the issue of race. They hid from the issue of race while the defense addressed it squarely, and they never offered a theory of the case. So when I was asked to call it, as I think many legal pundits were, everyone said that we expected this to be a defense verdict. But I want to emphasize to everybody listening, that doesn't mean the evidence wasn't there. I can't explain why the prosecution in this case made the decisions that they made, but this was a very predictable outcome just watching the court case.
We are less than 2 minutes away, we are told, from the state attorney coming to the microphone and reacting to this.